Well, hello all. Welcome to Gelvin Valley, created by Wild Wild Wes for Farming Simulator 15. I'm just on the animal screen here, checking out. I generally forget to check to be sure that we have plenty of food for our sheep, and I see we're north of 50,000 liters of food. They are still producing wool. So I think we're good, and I can't wait for them to generate pallets. And that reminds me, 70%, 1,400. It must be that 2,000 is a pallet. Yeah, so I know we're accumulating them up there. Don't really know how many we have, but our most pressing consideration at the moment isn't our sheep, it is harvest. We are in a dinky little field here, kind of down in the southwest corner of the map, and I'm sure we'll blow this one out here easily in this video. And then we're going to be heading over to field 42. And I'm just a reminder, having to be a little careful how I do the harvesting. As you can see, I am starting to leave tracks. So I'm having to be extra careful that I don't run over the crop. But I'm kind of liking it. I turned it off a long time ago. And maybe the reason it's working here for me is I am driving it myself, and actually as I look at my fill level, I'm going to have to be careful or I'll be running over the crop here. So almost at 100%. Almost. Oh, and even with that, I think, ran over a little bit. Alright, folks. Oops. There we go. Head out here. I think we left this over on the... Oh, what is this? Stonehenge field? And I'm reminded, too, because this field has some problems. Like right here where the light is on, there's a little sprig I couldn't get because I somehow planted right under the fence. I want to get rid of some of those areas, and kind of as I was off cam, doing a little sniffing around, I think what I'm eventually going to do when I finish harvest, and probably after, I'll probably want to till the fields up. But then I think I'm going to come in and pull the save game files into the Giants editor, and I'm gonna do a little tweaking. Not tweaking like we know tweaking now. Wish I didn't know what that was. But I want to fix the borders just a little bit. I suppose I could come in maybe with a little planter and make an extra little border around the field, but it'll probably be just easier if I pull it into the editor and deal with it in there. Maybe not the best way, but there are limitations in what we're able to see in game, so I don't feel bad going to the editor to do that. Here we go. I'll offload this. Yeah, pretty soon we'll need to take another load. Once again, I'm hauling it all the storage. I haven't even looked to see. Oops, a little bit far. Alright, barley is coming up. Good to know. Good to know. 'Cause I have a boatload of it. I have a whole bunch of canola in storage. Probably is gonna go to... Oh no, I'm mistaken. Not pheasant pluckers. Alright, and who? Gelvin Biogas, Bio Oil 536. Yeah, that's probably where we're gonna sell it. I think I know where that is. Clear up on top of the hill. It's kind of a ways away. So, you know, part of me wonders if I should hire more than one truck. I just want to make sure whatever it is that I get it done within an hour. Because after that hour, the price starts to tank, and I would just as soon have it all sold by then, I think. We'll see. What do I know? I'm just being a greedy capitalist. But I would ask, I'm kind of curious, has anybody else ever attempted to... I'm getting dinged with rental bills. Has anybody else ever attempted to modify their save game file in the Giants editor before? It's, you got to be really careful how you do it, because what you don't want to have happen is for your save game file to get corrupted, or for your save game file to replace kind of what the original opening map setting is. You know, for example, the way OS has it set up in the map, there's not very many arable fields at start. For example, the very one that we are combining in, I believe, used to be a grass field, and we had to literally come in with the plow to turn it into an arable field. So you don't want, you know, if we were to take this file, this save game file, into the editor, you know, it could replace if you're not careful. So you always have to keep a backup, you know, copy when you start messing in there. And there's a couple files that we need, you know, when we do it. One of them is called a cultivator density file, I believe, and another I think is called fruit density. I think you need both to see kind of where the fields are. And I mean, there's multiple density files depending on what it is. You know, some of the bushes and shrubs in here have their own density files. You know, it all depends, I think, whether it's an additional multi-layer or a sub-layer that's a crop. So, anyway, maybe when we get to that, I'll show kind of what I did. But I think it's possible. But first, I think I want to reduce everything to dirt. So, hey, go down. There we go. That way I can see, hopefully very clearly, you know, just along the edge. Because what I want to get rid of is all those areas where the edge of the field kind of goes like dead ahead, over against the bank. I know I planted up the bank, you know, just a little bit. Well, you'd never do that in real life. So I just kind of want to eliminate those areas. And I think if I do just a little bit of sprucing up, it'll help that out. Of course, I'm probably still going to have issues, because a lot of those is the reason why, you know, when you have a longer header like this, or a wider one rather, you know, it'll get caught either on fence posts or some of those bumps in the ground, you know, where it isn't a level surface. Alright, we about have the field licked. This is still so steep in here, it's just hard to tell the way we play here, kind of almost top down. One more pass. Maybe one more little dab. And we are done. And kind of like I started, you know, I now have crop destruction on. So you see all my wheel tracks. And you know, it adds another level of planning to do. You know, here I got my trailer up here with to haul the header, and I need to figure out in each field how to get in and out with the least amount of damage to the crop, least amount of fuss, if you will. Oh, I don't know if I'm square with the world. There, that ought to be good enough. Kinda, sorta. Let me get out of the way, and we'll take our machine. We'll turn it off so we're not wasting fuel. Let's head over to the tractor. What I do know too is it's tremendously helpful to me. Oh, blimey. How did that happen? Good gracious. It somehow snuck off just so quickly. You know, even this thing is at an angle. I bet if we do that... Hold on, let me see if I can... Yeah, see? This is what I'm saying. It's an additional layer of planning. So now I gotta get it on this silly trailer. Actually, you know what? I didn't even set the brakes. Shame on me. Sitting on a hill. Alright. Fire this old puppy up. I couldn't even tell that it was really sitting on a slope over here, but off it went. It must have had some slippery something or other on the trailer. Alright, let's try this again. And all of these, you know what's going on. All these little things sitting here are remnants from, yeah, there we go. From course play, we just got rid of them. I wish they wouldn't appear kind of on that setting that we use, but they do. So, okay, maybe, now can I lower hop out, go into the tractor, and lock and load. Boom. Alright. I think we are locked. It isn't entirely on their square. Oh, that lock helps like everything. You just know that without the lock, meaning if I wasn't using the mod and I had, just using the standard in-game trailer, it would already be looking for freedom. Alright, another narrow gate. Some of the gates in these fields, see, these are narrow ones, but some of them Wes helpfully put double gates on, so now how am I gonna do this here? There's a little dry wash here, so I'm going to go down. Now, can I get my combine in here and sneak that off of the trailer? I'm going to give it a try. Maybe I need to get just down a little lower. And this is one wash, by the way, where the stream doesn't rise, and that's only because it isn't marked. You see how all these others have blue, more of the major streams? Well, there was one over here that Wes didn't mark. I think he marked only the ones that flow kind of into the central river, if you will. This one here would flow off the map, so maybe that's why he didn't mark it. Maybe someday I'll I'll put some water planes in it. All right, out to our combine. And you know, back in Farms M15, you know, as most people know, I primarily focus kind of on these older versions. I mean, it still looks pretty good. I don't care who you are. But we didn't have crop destruction. And I think in the newer versions now, you know, Farms M22, 25, isn't that an option that you have? You know, where you can specify if the wheels are going to do damage. But back in these days, you had to have a mod, you know, that would do it. Okay, can I slink by? You scratch a little paint on the combine. Okay, okay. Now, what is that yellow thing down here? I can't see it now. That must be some medallion or something that Wes wanted you to collect. I know the drive control mod was pretty popular back, you know, in the day. But I'd be curious how many watching this, if you played Farming Sim 15. Oh. Good thing we got four-wheel drive. That's kind of having a little bit of... What are you climbing over here? You know what the problem is? Who knows what the problem is? That's probably above. He probably isn't even going to recognize. Oh yeah, he will. Now, who knows what's going to happen? Okay, probably lifted both tires. And... okay, let me get out of here. Probably still is unrealistic. I'm trying to avoid having to run over the crop. Unlock. Okay. Trailer is down. Okay. Let's turn this peep off. And down we'll go to our combine, who seems to have found the ground. You go, come on. I'm trying to push it up the hill just a little bit. Yeah, this probably wasn't the best idea. Okay. Because now I got this up here. Let's see, I'll get... You know, I could probably sneak... What am I driving into? There's a fence over there. Running into a bush. Everything looks better top down. Alright, so this was helpful, leaving a little bit of verge. My wheel is kind of elevated. Alright, we're going to leave him there. Back to our high-centered combine. Yeah, maybe that was an effective way to do it. It's just a little, with the dip in here, it's a little... Now what's your problem? Is this catching on something? I wonder if it is. Yeah, it appears it was. Alright. Let me get this over. No, it is carrying it that way. Come on, baby. There we go. Hallelujah. Alright. Here's yet another field where we didn't bend a single stalk of crop. That's the way we roll here on Gelvin Valley Farms. And by the way, I think I've commented on this before. All these weeds, they are going to be going bye-bye. As soon as we till the fields up, we have a little modding thing that I did that's going to take care of those. Ooh, here's another area I kind of need to mod. That silly post reached out and grabbed us. That's interesting. It's sitting way... Yeah. Well, what it is it's the nut behind the wheel that chose to... Yeah, see, that's interesting. There's all sorts of things in the country, but this fence post is here. This one is out a bit, and then the next one, I think, sits back over here. Well, not the next one. I'm just saying the shape of the fence kind of comes out, so yeah, I probably should have swung a little wider. Anyway, I'm wasting time. Let me get harvesting. Right now, this all used to be, you may recall, wide open drop-off, kind of right next to these bushes, and you kind of see we put a whole bunch of rocks by it. Map borders are tough. You can still see, yeah, there's gapiosis over there. But this edge doesn't seem too bad. I was trying to see if there's any bumps in here. I'm sure there's a couple. Yeah, I can feel the combine spinning out just a little bit. So, yeah, there may be some fixes may be needed here. But you know, even as I mentioned these weeds that I'm hoping to get rid of, because it isn't, I don't have a problem with the weeds. That isn't it. Matter of fact, I like having them there. It's kind of cool effect. What I don't like is the fact that the combine, you know, as it's coming along with this sickle on its header, it isn't taking them out. Or, you know, whenever we till up the fields, it also doesn't take them out then. And now I have a way to get rid of them. You know, it's just one of those things when you learn a little modding and it just extends to other areas and then more areas, you keep adding to it. So I'm a dummy at this stuff, and anything I understand or know how to do is just from a long time of practicing and observing, and there are other modders I admire and wish I had what was in their head and make it a whole lot quicker. But anyway, we have a plan. Oh yeah, see, we got there. Chimney. Yeah, I probably, if I'm careful, you know, raising and lowering the header as I come through here, I think I can get around most of the obstacles. But that typically, I don't know how much of that you'd have to do in real life. Oh, and you know what? I am just keeping an eye on how full I am. I don't know. Yeah, this was a blunder. I should have emptied into the truck before coming all the way out here, so yeah, I'm gonna end up having to bring the truck clear up here on top, which is okay. But again, what I'm trying to avoid is, you know, destroying any crop. And you know, this isn't a bad area to do it. There's room for the truck. So maybe if I back up the hill a little bit, as soon as I'm full, almost 100% full again, I just gotta be very careful. Sneak over here. See, it used to be I didn't have to worry about this at all. Like I just kind of do whatever I wanted. Now I gotta, yeah, that's room for the truck. All right. Lock and load. We go to the truck, still sitting patiently over here in the field. Just looking at the time, there was a topic I wanted to visit about, and I'm just not going to get into it. I don't think we'll have enough time. I have to save it for the next. I'm gonna have to drive the long way, because we don't want to spoil the crop. I don't have room. So we'll follow our tire tracks in. Yeah, I should have emptied what I had in the harvester after getting done with that little field, and then I bet I could have gone all the way around. And this is, this is something you probably would never do in real life. I don't know, well, I say that. I really don't know, because I don't know how heavy of a crop canola is. But I can assure you, if this was wheat in here and we were half full, the last thing you'd want to do is probably take on a hill this steep with that much weight in the back. Yeah, see, we're going to pull this hill pretty hard, even with the weight, that we do have in it now. It isn't even full. There's, I live in the Pacific Northwest state of Oregon, and I live in the Willamette Valley, so we have some wheat here. I don't know that there's any canola grown here. Maybe there is in eastern Oregon. But I know a farmer in the north central Oregon area, wheat farmer, and they have crazy steep hills over there. And even in a combine, they have to be strategic as to, if you're up on top and you take your combine down into a draw, so you're declining in elevation, and sometimes some of these fields are so huge and they have a lot of rise and fall in elevation, sometimes up to 500, between 500 and 1,000 feet. I mean, it's a lot. And so it is no small thing to take a combine down elevation when you know you're going to have to come back up. What goes down in there, they don't always just have an exit down there. And so they need to make sure they're empty when they head down, and sometimes they need to head back up before the combine is even full. So it's just one of those, things they need to do to be careful that they don't end up, cracking up down in the bottom of the gully. Oh, I didn't like that very much. Okay. Let's start this. We still have remnants of grass that we cut. This used to be, before we tilled it up, this was all grass. I did a hay crop first thing. That's kind of what Wes's instructions said to do. And I didn't hardly earn jack on it. But some of it spilled over to here, and I never picked it up with the baler. So there it sits, kind of forever and ever. One of these days, I think I need to take the cultivator up there and drag it over it. See, oh, look at that. I was just going to comment that I had stayed a respectable distance from the fence when the ground just starts pulling me into the fence. I think it just grabs whatever little bump, and just kind of how the physics in this game works. But here, yeah, this is probably okay. Oh, well, look at that. It's almost like we need some smoothing in here. Yeah, it's just kind of... Oh, come on. Don't want to run over it. Anyway, this has been going on for several fields now. Am I the only one that has trouble with this? Most of the time, kind of on standard farm sim maps, I think the fields are smooth enough where you don't have these kind of troubles. But I don't know. And here it's mainly just the outside edge. That's kind of what I need to try to tweak when we pull the crop out. So, oh, now I'm getting dragged downhill. here we could call gravity slipping. Oh, and maybe it's just one of those things. Here, I ran over some of it. Where it just adds a little extra challenge to the harvest. And that is that. It'll get a little better, when we get out more in the middle. I can't believe a whole half. Oh, here we go again. But I think in real life, if you had, see, that's what happened here. You have a dip. You can see the dip kind of down in here, and it's high over here. That's probably what would happen in real life. You would genuinely encounter problems sticking your combine header through there, one this big. I seem to recall, even with the smaller combine, didn't we have difficulties here too? Seems like we did, so it is what it is. Mainly the outer round that's a problem. I tell you what, there goes the bell. Definitely is costing a pretty penny to rent this nice, beautiful, big machine. And the rent mod, which I really appreciate using, because if you can't afford equipment, it provides a way where you can still do stuff. Plus, I appreciate that it'll let you rent things, even when you're out of money. It'll let you go below zero. And I believe the rent is keyed off of the base value of whatever it is you're renting. So I think, we'd have to try and experiment. But if the cost of a mod was zero, then I'm not sure it would charge you anything for the rent. Maybe only the base fee, whatever that is, which isn't geared, by cost. I'll maybe have to try that sometime. But this particular combine is newer, it's expensive, so it's chewing a hole in our bank account, as we harvest here. So that's why I'm going to have to be doubly careful, when I sell the crop, just to make sure I can get top dollar. But I'm pretty sure if we rented the little combine, it would be way cheaper than this one, because I don't think the cost was all that much. So, but it is what it is. We're making progress here in our harvest, and as we all heard, the bell went off, so I think it's time to say goodbye and quit boring all you good people. So that's what I'm gonna do. You all take care. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by to listen to me ramble on about this and exercise my pipes. Thank you and take care. I'll see you in the next one.